Hello, math application students. Today we're going to talk about exponential functions, okay? And you're going to be doing your math space assignment. If you wanted to look in your book, your Oxford book, page 481 is similar to this lesson. Okay, so here we go. What if my function is like this? Y equals 2 to the x power. All right, so anything to the 0 power, 2 to the 0 power, gives us 1, right? And you could always check with your calculator, 2 caret 0, anything to the 0 power is 1. Okay, now 2 to the power of 1, you know, is 2. 2 squared, 2 times 2 is 4. 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2, which is going to give me 8. Now, what about if it's 2 to the negative 1 power? 2 to the negative 1 power, that means we're going to write it as 1/2. And 2 to the negative 2 power, this is the same thing as 2 1 over 2 squared, which is going to give me 1/4. And this is going to give me 1/8. All right, so if I want to graph this, then these bold numbers are easier to graph, right? When x is 0, it crosses here at 1. When x is 1, we're at 2. When x is 2, we're at 4. When x is 3, we're at 8 up here, right? And here's 1/2, 1/4, 1/8. The numbers get smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, here's a question. When I look at my graph, no matter how far I go in this direction, let's say I have x to the negative 1,000. Or even smaller. Is this ever going to be smaller than 0? Let's type this into the calculator. Or x, what am I saying? 2 to the negative 1,000. Is that ever going to be equal to 0? Or a negative number? 2 to the power of negative 1,000. Okay, well, it's so small that the calculator says 0. So let's say 2 to the negative 100. Okay, this is such a tiny number. This says there's 31 zeros before the 7. Anyways, what I'm saying is when you graph an exponential graph, this is always going to be positive answers. Okay? Now, what happens if I add 5 to this graph? It's going to use all of these numbers, except we're going to add 5 to it. So we're going to have, so instead of crossing the x-axis at 1, like it does here when it's 0, we're going to cross the x-axis here. We're going to add 5 to these numbers. So we're going to have 6, 5 plus 2 is 7, 5 plus 4 is 9, 5 plus 8 is 13, and here we're going to get 5 1/2, 5 1/4, and 5 1/8. So basically, we're taking all these values and we're just adding 5 to it. Okay, so how is it going to be? It's going to have the same pattern, except it's being shifted up 5. So instead of this crossing at 1, this is going to cross here at 6. Okay, because it was shifted up 5. And then here it's going to be approaching 5, and we would say we have an asymptote at at y equals 5, because this is the y-axis, and we have a horizontal asymptote horizontal asymptote at y equals 5. Okay. Here we go. Now, what is this negative power here going to do? Basically, I'm going to take all the values from here and switch the powers. So here I've got, well, anyways, 2 to the 0. 2 to the 0 is still going to give us 1. Here, I'm going to say 2 to the, and then we're going to change the power, so -1. Here we have 2 to the -2 and 2 to the -3. And here we've got a negative, so we end up with 2 to the 1, 2 squared, 2 cubed. Because of this negative sign, we're going to take these values and switch them from our original table. Our original table looked like this. So these are going to switch, and so this is going to be 2, 4, and 8, and this is going to be 1/2, 1/4, 1/8. So basically, it's going to be the graph is going to be flipped, and so here we cross here at 1, and the graph is going to be like the other one, except flipped. Okay. Now, if I look at the next one here, this negative is going to take all of the values from this here, except, so from this function, we're going to take all of these values, but we're going to make them negative. So if I've got a negative in front of it, basically, we're taking those answers from before, which was 1/8, 1/4, 1/2, 1, 2, 4, and 8. We're taking all of those values from the first page, and because of this negative sign, we're making all of them, because of this negative sign, we're making all of them negative. Okay? So basically, my graph is going to be very much like the first one here, but it's going to be a reflection. So my graph is going to look like this. Okay, this is here is at -1, this here is at 2, this here is at 4, and this here is at 8. Okay, now let me show you how to do this on the calculator. Okay, so to do this on the calculator, you can hit y equals, and so here I've already typed it in, 2 to the power of x, and if I want a standard window, I hit zoom 6, and that gets me my standard window, and this graph looks like my very first graph that I typed in. Okay, what was the second one we did? We did 2 to the x plus 5, so let's see how that looks on here. 2 to the x and then plus 5, and let's graph that, and it looks just like what we did before. Now if I want to make a table like I did over here, then the best way to get a table using the calculator is I hit second graph to get me a table, and then I can get the values here. All right, hopefully this will help you, and good luck with your homework.